Here we are today. It's August the something. We're not going to tell you. We're not going to tell you what year it is. No, it's August the 5th, 2010. We're at Texas A&M Corpus Christi, specifically the Conrad Blucher Institute. And today we have Dr. Gary Jeffress, and he's going to answer a few questions, but also he's going to tell us some of the main things that are on his mind as a land surveyor and a professional and an educator of land surveyors. Dr. J.
Thank you, Robert. Well, one of the things I'd like to talk about initially is you ask a surveyor who's licensed in any state, what does that license, what does it request them to do? What are they licensed to do? And most of them will say, well, I'm licensed to do boundary definition. And that's pretty much what they are licensed to do. But if you go back to first principles and you ask yourself, well, who has the authority to define a boundary, a legal cadastral boundary in any jurisdiction? And it's the state. The state has dominion over its lands. It's not the federal government in the United States. It's the state has dominion over its lands. And the single body that can determine a boundary is the district court within the jurisdiction wherever that boundary is. And of course the district court cannot go out and define every boundary as required by society, so the state has licensed surveyors to go and act on their behalf to define boundaries.
And is that here in Texas, or is that in all states?
That's in pretty much just about every state, every jurisdiction, not just in the United States, but around the world.
Okay.
The courts have the final say in a boundary dispute, but hopefully 99.99% of the time there is no dispute, and a surveyor can go out there and find the evidence and in the record on the ground and determine where the boundary is. But going back to first principles, that's what our license is to do, is to take the role of the district court in defining where boundaries are, so that society can get on what it does best. And so that function will always be there for surveyors. Our primary role is we're experts at measurement and experts at measuring and locating real property boundaries, which is the fundamental of delineating land title, which has a legal function, and this is all blessed by the courts, and that's how the state has decided we need licensed professionals to take this role, because the court can't go out there and do every boundary. So that is our role. And my concern is that surveyors do not appreciate the value that they provide society in doing this work. And if you look at, what does our work entail? It entails accounting for the biggest asset that most societies have, and that's real estate. We maintain the cadastre in which all value in real estate resides, but we don't charge society enough for the work that we do. We leave a lot of money on the table, and basically surveyors provide two services to their clients. One is that we reduce risk. If an investor is going to invest in real estate, or we're going to improve real estate, we help them reduce the risk of losing that investment. And the other service we provide all our clients is we help them create wealth. We turn rural land into urban subdivisions, which raises the value. We help in the construction of raw land and locate buildings and infrastructure. You can't do that without the services of a surveyor. And so we're helping society create wealth, particularly that wealth associated with real estate. And we do not charge for the value of the wealth we're creating, nor the elimination of risk that we're helping our clients to do.
Well, you brought two questions to mind so far. First of all, how would you propose that surveyors charge, would be the first question I have. And then I've got another one after you answer that one, because isn't that kind of along what you're talking about?
Exactly.
Here? Okay, thank you.
Yes. So surveyors traditionally charge by the hour, and there's ways of computing their rates for hourly to take into account their overheads, etc. I think we should do what other professions do, like the architects, the engineers, or even real estate agents, and that's charge an ad valorem fee based on the value of the real estate. And for example, a mortgage tie. If a house is selling for $100,000, we should charge as a minimum $1,000, just 1% of the value of the real estate. Much cheaper than the 6% that real estate agents charge, and much cheaper than the 9 or 10% that architects and engineers charge when they cost out their fees for design and construction. So I think we should go to an ad valorem fee structure.
If we did that, would there be any chance of litigation on collusion, on anything like that? If all the surveyors said, hey, we're not going to take any more boundary work in unless we get 1% of the value, could there be a laws that we're breaking if we did that?
Well, engineers do it and architects do it. It's a standard practice in those professions.
Okay.
And it's just a different way of charging the fee.
I understand.
Because it's ad valorem, every job's going to be different.
Right.
The fee rate's going to be different.
Right.
It's based on the value of work.
That makes total, and also based on the era that property surveyed. 10 years ago, it might have been 50,000, and now it may be 30,000, and 5 more years it could be 2 million. You just don't have any idea about the valuation of the property.
Right, and that's freely available through the appraisal districts. You can easily find out what the appraised value of the real estate is, and if it's for a subdivision, for example, there's going to be estimates of what the lots are going to sell for, and so you base your fee on whatever that estimate's going to be, and then the client has an understanding. You know, it's 1% of the value, and your work actually helps raise the value. You know, the design of the subdivision, for example, the lot sizes, the layout. I mean, it goes back to your professional services. The better that is, the more valuable the land's going to be.
Makes sense.
We should cash in on the value that we're creating our clients.